Why do you keep CCing me on things that have got nothing to do with me? Hey guys, it's your drinking buddy here, and you can tell by my bad impression of Jim doing a bad impression of Stanley that it's time to do an Office episode. The Office is one of my favorite shows of all time, and there are a lot of cocktails in this thing. A lot of originals. In fact, I could probably do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes about this thing. Probably just 2. But first up, we're gonna do 3 cocktails from The Office, and we're gonna give them a little bit of a drinking buddy spin, make them a little bit more palatable, and here we go.
I'm your drinking buddy.
All right, drinking buddies. So first up, we're gonna start with something really simple. This is gonna be Michael Scott's Scotch and Splenda. Tastes like Splenda, gets you drunk like Scotch. That's what he says, at least. But I noticed whenever he refers to Splenda, he always refers to packs of Splenda. And I don't know if you've ever tried to dissolve Splenda in packet form into alcohol, but I can tell you right now, from experience, it doesn't work. So we're gonna be using, oh, I knocked Michael over. Oh, I knocked Jim over. We're gonna be using liquid Splenda and AKA sucralose. And then we're gonna add some scotch to it. Michael takes his scotch over ice. I generally don't, I like a neat scotch, but we know Michael drinks his over ice with Splenda in it. And you know, the obvious thing to use here would be something like a Famous Grouse, a great mixer. This is a pretty decent sipper, but you know, it's a lower end bottle. It's about $28. And it's a nice blended scotch, but this is not Michael. We know in the episode Cocktails that he requests ice and Splenda for a 20-year single malt. I happen to not have a 20-year single malt, but I do have a 23-year single malt, so let's ruin it. We're gonna do 1.5 ounces, 23-year-old scotch. Let's pour it on in, and we're gonna do the equivalent of 2 packs of Splenda, which is 2 squirts. We're gonna stir this up and see what Michael sees in the infamous Scotch and Splenda. Hey, maybe I'll like it. Give it a little dilution. I'm sure Michael wants a little dilution on there. Just put Splenda in a 23-year single malt. Wow. Okay. That is the most interesting thing I will taste all week. It makes the sherry really come forward. This is finished in sherry casks. At first, I literally thought I was drinking sherry. That's how much it brings that note to the forefront. It's insanely sweet. I mean, this is one of the sweetest beverages I've had in quite a while. This is like drinking soda, it's so sweet. Does it taste bad? No. Does it taste good? I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not great, but I could see why you'd drink this. If you're not a fan of the boozy flavors of a scotch, but you wanna look like a man, I mean, you know, that's a thing that people do. I like the flavor of scotch, so I drink it. If you don't like the flavor of scotch, don't drink it. No one's gonna call you lesser of a man because you don't like scotch. But I think that was Michael's intention here. He doesn't like scotch, but he wants to look like he likes it and drink it. And this is not the best way to do it. I would say just drinking this over ice wouldn't be nearly the party foul that this is. With each drink, I will admit with each drink I do like it more, but I will never drink this again. Scotch and Splenda. All right, drinking buddies, so next up is gonna be the Nog-a-sake. So in the episode Benihana Christmas, we learned that Andy Bernard, the Nard dog, likes to order something called a Nog-a-sake at Asian restaurants, specifically at Benihana. And that's probably a little bit insensitive and also weird because what Asian restaurant is gonna have eggnog? So I'm assuming that if he did order this and they decided to oblige him, that they're definitely making this from scratch. And this time of year, you can't buy eggnog anyway. So we're gonna make a Nog-a-sake and we're gonna make homemade eggnog with it. And we're gonna do a riff on my quick eggnog that I've done in a previous video. We're gonna begin by putting 1 whole egg in a mason jar, and to it we're gonna add 2 ounces of heavy whipping cream. I'm gonna do a splash of vanilla extract. We're gonna do a dash of nutmeg. We're gonna keep the nutmeg up here because we're gonna use that again. And we're gonna do 2 ounces of a decent quality cold sake. I got this, I can't even begin to pronounce that, Hakutusura draft sake. This is a decent cold sake. We're gonna do 2 full ounces of this. And pour that on in. Decent draft sake. And then we need to sweeten it a little bit. So we're gonna add 1 ounce of simple syrup. I spilled most of that on my mat. Oh well, we got 1 ounce. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and shake this up. And first we're gonna begin with a dry shake. And I will cut this for you, but we're gonna shake this for about a minute. All right, drinking buddies, so I shook it for a minute without ice, then I added ice, and I've shook it for about a minute since. And we're gonna pour it into a nice glass, open pour. We're gonna top it with a little bit of nutmeg. And you've got a Nog-a-sake. All right, drinking buddies, Andrew Bernard's Nog-a-sake. Let's taste it. Wow. I gotta be perfectly honest. That is way better than I expected. Drinking buddies, this is a straight up excellent cocktail. I cannot believe how good this is. Why does sake work in a drink like this? It's sweet, it's milky, it's creamy, it's got a great nutmeg and vanilla flavor going on. I'd love to lie and say I can taste the sake, but I really can't. It's not really there. It's extremely subtle, if it is there at all. Man, that is just a straight up excellent cocktail. I highly recommend you make the Nog-a-sake at home. I have literally made fun of Andrew Bernard for years for this drink, thinking that it sounded gross. This is excellent. All right, drinking buddies. So next up, we're gonna do the Gluhwein from Dwight Christmas. Now, I'm doing a little bit of a twist on a classic mulled wine, and I gotta get some beets in there. Bears Beets Battlestar Galactica. Dwight is a beet farmer, and so therefore he's gonna use some beet juice in his Gluhwein. This is far from traditional as far as Gluhwein goes, but I think it's actually gonna taste pretty nicely when we mix it up and add a little sugar to it. I think this is gonna come out really good. So first up, we're gonna do a cup of beet juice. I bought this bottle at the grocery store. Wasn't cheap, it was about $6, but I think we're gonna put it to good use. This absolutely has to be the last cocktail I drink tonight, since pretty sure it's gonna turn my teeth red. All right, so we got 1 cup of beet juice. And I gotta be honest, it does not smell great. It smells very vegetal. But we're gonna use a sweet red to help counteract that. I'm gonna do a cup of port wine. All right, next up we're gonna do a 1/4 cup of sugar. Actually, I'm gonna go with the 1/8 cup. I was gonna double it, but I think an 1/8 cup is gonna be good here. Obviously that works, or I would have refilmed it with a 1/4 cup. So an 1/8 cup is what we're gonna go with of sugar. And we're gonna pour that in our saucepan. I do not know why I did it in that order. Now I need to get a spoon since I did that in such a weird order. Put the sugar in your saucepan. So that was a poor choice. When you add your sugar, add it to the saucepan. All right, now we're gonna bring this to we're forgetting the most important part. mulling spices. So you can usually buy these at any grocery store. They're extremely easy to come by in the fall. But I'm sure that if you wanted to make this at home, you could order these on Amazon. And these are what makes this mulled wine. Without this, you're just, heating wine, and why would anyone want to do that? It's all about imparting these flavors in here. So what's in these mulling spices, you say? It's gonna be dried cinnamon, anise, nutmeg, allspice, and citrus, so orange peel. And we're gonna let this go on a low heat for I'm gonna let this go for probably 30 minutes, maybe more on a low heat. So we'll be back with our Gluhwein when it's been heating for at least 30 minutes. All right, drinking buddies, so we have some steaming Gluhwein here. And in the episode Dwight Christmas, we know that they used to use this to sanitize medical instruments. That might be something that his parents just told him or something like that, maybe to convince him not to drink it when he was a kid, something like that. However, we do need to up the proof on this. So I'm gonna add a 2-ounce little shooter of vodka. Why a little 2-ounce shooter? Well, I don't buy vodka, I don't drink vodka. So this is the only vodka I could find that I wouldn't waste. So we've added 2 ounces of vodka. Hopefully that'll cool it down a little bit too, because it's pretty hot right now. On a wonderful 100-degree day, such a good idea to make a winter beverage. But you know what? We're here for the office. And I got this ugly Christmas sweater glass because I thought that would be a good glass to pour this in. And we're just gonna pour a few fingers in here and try it out. Let's see how our homemade Dwight's Gluhwein turned out. Oh, by the way, I totally accidentally spilled this on my toes and might have like 3rd-degree burns on my toes. So this is pretty fun. Let's taste it. Oh, okay. The beet is the most prominent flavor, and that is not a knock on this drink. It's sweet and it's got that earthy beet note to start it right off. And man, I'm really glad I chose port because I actually feel like the beet and the port complement each other decently. And the spices are coming through too. I think the most prominent one I taste is the orange, I believe. The orange peel tends to be the first flavor that absorbs into something because orange peel is just dried and it's so loaded with that citrusy pow that you get, and it works in here for sure, and it comes through. Next, I get a little bit of that star anise. But the rest of I don't really detect any of the other mulling spices. However, yeah, the beet and the port really just complement each other nicely here. I plan to make fun of this, but I also plan to make it a drink that I think would be good. That's why I went, the way I did with the port and the beet juice, but I expected it to taste like vegetables and not be that great. But I actually like this. I could drink this again. Dwight's Gluhwein, it's pretty good. Well, thank you, drinking buddies, for watching. I do this stuff all the time, pop culture originals, whiskey videos, reviews. Just leave me a like if you liked the video, and subscribe if you want to see more. And thanks for watching.